darkest chapters of humanity are not written by monsters alone. They were written by neighbors. For I do not do the things I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep doing. In today's adventure through human psychology and human nature, we'll be talking about why do good people become evil. What if I told you the greatest danger to humanity is not evil people, but ordinary people, not psychopaths, serial killers, or dictators, but people like me, people like you, people who laugh with friends, who love their families, who go to church, who work hard, who genuinely believe they are good. It sounds impossible, right? After all, we like to believe that evil belongs to someone else, someone born different, someone without a conscience, someone whose face we could recognize from a distance. But history tells a different story. The darkest chapters of humanity are not written by monsters alone. They were written by neighbors, teachers, dictators, doctors, police officers, parents, soldiers, people who once held their babies in their arms, people who once dreamt of living peaceful lives. So the question is not why are some people evil? The real question is, how does an ordinary human being slowly becomes capable of extraordinary evil? And perhaps an even more important question, if evil can be learned, can goodness also be cultivated? Because hidden inside every child, inside every adult, inside every human heart is a battle that never truly ends. A battle between compassion and cruelty, humanity and humility and pride, forgiveness and revenge, truth and deception. The outcome of the battle does not shape one only life. It shapes families, communities, nations. Sometimes it can change the course of history. Today, we're going to go on journey through psychology, history, neuroscience, and scripture to uncover one of the greatest mysteries of human nature. Why do good people become evil? And how do we raise children who choose goodness instead? Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you may never look at human nature the same way again. Imagine standing inside a hospital nursery. Rows of newborn babies sleep peacefully. Some are smiling in their dreams, some are stretching their tiny fingers, others are crying, unaware that they have just entered a complicated world. Now imagine someone walking into that room and pointing at one of those babies. They say, one day this child will save thousands of lives. Then they point to another, one day this child will destroy thousands of lives. Can you tell which one? Of course not, right? Every child looks innocent. Every baby enters the world completely dependent on someone else. No one is born holding hatred in their hands. No one is born already knowing how to lie, to manipulate, to forgive, or to love sacrificially. Children arrive in a tremendous potential, but the direction of the potential is shaped over time by a complex interaction of biology, relationships, experiences, culture, personal choices, and the values they learn. Some children grow into compassionate adults who spend their lives healing others. Others become consumed by greed, anger, resentment, or violence. The difference is rarely explained by a single event. Instead, it is often the result of thousands of small moments, once spoken by parents, examples set by teachers, friendship formed, trauma endured, choices repeated, habit practiced. Every practice leaves a mark, like drops of water slowly caving stones. Our character is shaped one day at a time. The truth is echoed in psychology, confirmed by the neuroscience, illustrated through history and reflected in scripture. The human heart is not static, it's constantly being formed. The person you become tomorrow is influenced by what you repeatedly choose today. That is why understanding human nature is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is one of the greatest, most important responsibility we have, because we misunderstand ourselves. We risk repeating history. There is a quiet belief that many people carry without even realizing it. It sounds like I can never do something like that. When we hear about corruption, war crimes, abuse, betrayal, or genocide, we instantly separate ourselves from the people responsibly. They are different, they're monsters, they're evil. The belief makes us feel safe, right? Because if evil belongs only to monsters, then ordinary people have nothing to worry about. But what if the belief is wrong? What if the line between good and evil does not run between different groups of people, but through every human heart? The Russian writer, Holocaust survivor Alexandra, expressed this profound truth when he wrote, "The line separating good and evil passes not through states, nor between classes, nor between political parties either, but right through every human heart." This insightful has been echoed by psychologists, philosophers, and theologians alike. Human beings are capable of astonishing kindness. The very same human beings are capable of astonishing cruelty. One day someone may sacrifice everything to save a stranger. Another day that same person may wound someone they love with harsh words spoken in danger. It's not because people suddenly change into someone else. No, because every person carries competing desires, emotions, fears, and moral choices within them. The question is not whether that struggle exists. The question is which sides we choose to strengthen. Many people believe they are good simply because they have good intentions. But character is not measured primarily by intentions. Character is revealed through repeated action. A man may believe he is honest, but if he lies whenever the truth becomes inconvenient, his actions tells a different story. A parent may sincerely love their children, but if they constantly belittle, humiliate, or neglect that child, love alone does not erase the damage. Psychologists often describe this behavior as the product of habits, beliefs, emotions, environment working together over time. In other words, who we become is deeply connected to what we repeatedly practiced. If we repeatedly practice patience grows. If we repeatedly practice bitterness grows. Our life moves in the direction of our repeated choices. That's why the small direction that we make every day matters far more than we often realize. For centuries, philosophers debated whether people are naturally good or naturally evil. Modern psychologists approach the question differently. Instead of asking what people are, it is asking what influences what make people become. It asks what influences what people become. One of the most influential psychologists to study this question was Philip Zimbardo in 1971. He conducted what became known as the Standard Prison Experiment. A healthy young man volunteered for what they believed was a simple study. They were randomly assigned one of the two roles. Some became prisoners, others became guards. Nothing about their personality suggested that one group was kinder or more cruel than the other. The roles were assigned by chance. Yet within all a few days, something astonishing happened. The guards began humiliating the prisoners. Some became verbally abusive. Others became incredibly strong, controlling. The prisoners grew anxious, emotionally distressed, and submissive. The question had to be studied early because the psychologist's effect became too severe. The lesson shocked the scientific community. These were not hardened criminals. They were ordinary university students. Zimbardo later argued that under certain conditions, situations, and social roles can strongly influence behavior. While the experiment has been debated and criticized for methodological limitation, it remained influential in promoting discussion about how power, authority, and environment affect human conduct. His work raises an uncomfortable question. If our environment can shape us this deeply in a matter of days, what might years of unhealthy influences do to a growing child? What happens when a child grows up surrounded by violence instead of peace, mockery instead of encouragement, fear instead of security, neglect instead of love? The answer is not destiny. Many people overcome incredibly difficult childhoods, but it does not remind us that environment matters. Families matter, communities they matter. The people who surround us help shape the people we become. Long before psychology existed as a science, the Bible described an inner struggle that every person experiences, not between two different kinds of people, but within each individual. The prophet Jeremiah wrote, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately seek who can understand it." That Jeremiah 17:9. The verse is often misunderstood. It's not saying that every person is an evil as they could possibly be. Rather, it warns us against placing blind confidence in our own model of perfection. Human beings are capable of deceiving even themselves. We can justify selfishness, excuse pride, minimize dishonesty, convince ourselves that wrong is right when it is benefiting us. Apostle Paul described that inner child, inner conflict within, remarkably honest. "For I do not do the things I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep doing." Romans 7:19. Paul was not celebrating failure. He was acknowledging a reality every thoughtful person recognizes. There are moments when we know that the right thing to do, yet we struggle to do it. We know we should forgive, but we cling to the sentiment. We know we should tell the truth, but fear whispers that a lie will be easier. We know we should remain calm, yet anger takes control. Psychology speaks of impulses, habit, emotions, and self-regulation. Scripture speaks of conflict between the flesh and the spirit. Through the language differs, both recognize something profoundly important. The greatest battles are often fought within us before they are ever seen by the world. And that raises a question that will guide the rest of our journey. If every human heart contains a capacity of both good and evil, what causes one person to nurture compassionate while another slowly embrace cruelty? The answer is found not in one dramatic decision, but in countless more choices, subtle influences, and hidden compromises that accumulate over time. And that is where our story continues.